In this video guide, we're going to talk about Nomad Sculpt, which is an app that you can download and install in your smartphone or tablet, or either if you're using Android or iPhone and so on. So you can install it on any device, and it will help you to learn how to sculpt and paint 3D models and how you can essentially create your own creatures and characters and animals and things like that. So you find all the technical information in the Play Store page or in the Play Store. Right now, I'm using my smartphone here. I'm searching for Sculpt, and there are other applications there. Now, if you want to be more specific, you can type Sculpt Nomad or Nomad Sculpt, and you will find it. So this app will help you to sculpt and paint on 3D models and create your own, but you can work in combination also with other softwares to create like basic and models and block out, create drafts, and then import it into the normal sculpt. Now, before we start to see how the application works in a generic way, so we're going to do like an introduction. I want to show you some tools that you can use on your computer or like a small laptop, which are more professional. If you want to do sculpting and painting, you can use ZBrush, Mudbox. These are the most popular, the most important in this field. And of course, you can just search the information there in Google and see the images. So you can see here the painting, the sculpting of the characters, character design, character art, environment design, environment art. You can use this for video games or for entertainment, for like TV series, movies. They're used in many different fields. Now, another option, which is open source, is Blender. Now, ZBrush and Mudbox, they're not so expensive, but if you want a free software, you can use Blender, which has its own sculpting tools, but also other software. They have their own sculpting tools and also other tools for animation and scene management, so you can create more complex scenes with different characters, with different objects, create levels, create interior design, architecture, and so on. So Cinema 4D, Maya, 3ds Max, and Blender, these are the most popular, but you can find also other just by looking on the web. Now you can see that I have downloaded, installed it, and now I'm ready to run the Nomad Sculpt application. So it's for those of you who work with other tools, this is a really narrow space to work with sculpting, but we can do something. We can just start to learn how the sculpting and painting works, and then we can proceed if we want. This is just, again, an introduction. You can see that you have many different panels here. At the top, you can open up panels just like menus, and you can set up like resolution of the mesh and voxels. And then you have, dynamic topology, all the latest technology, if we want to call it like that, in the sculpting. It's present right here. So you can then discover yourself, and we can do shading, we can use environments, lights, matte caps or materials. We can use layers, and definitely we can change and customize the paint, the brush, the sculpting tools, the interface, display settings, and so on. So you find all the settings essentially at the top. The last one on the right is to open up the tools. Now these are, again, for painting and sculpting, and you have different types, and these are similar to what you find again in Blender or ZBrush or Mudbox. They all look the same because it's really simple once you understand it, to work with the sculpting tools. Now on the left side, you can adjust the radius of your tool and the intensity. So if you want it stronger or weaker, or if you want it bigger and smaller, you can adjust brushes and chisels and dragging and moving, smoothing, all the different tools that you have on the right. And on the left, you can also change from addition to subtraction. Now let's start to do something, otherwise we cannot understand. Right now I am in the clay brush, which is the standard one here in this application. Usually we have a standard brush before the clay brush, but right now we're starting with the clay brush, which is the first one on the top on the right. So when you do addition, you will add matter to your sphere in this case, and when you do subtract, you're gonna subtract. And then you have smooth when you want to have softer surfaces, more curvy. And then you have mask when you want to protect part of your mesh of your model. You can paint a mask so that part will be then protected. So if you do whatever you want, it's not gonna affect that gray area, that darker area. So if I switch back to the clay mode and use the clay to sculpt, you can see it's only sculpting where the mask is not present, where the mask was not applied. And then you can unmask, of course. So you find all the tools there on the left. You can change the way you can work. And again, mask, smooth, relax. These are all for adjusting the tools that you are using. And then you have gizmos for transformations like movement, rotation, and scaling. So you can move, rotate, scale. And if you want to orbit around, just click on an empty space with the, well, click, not exactly click, but you press with your finger on an empty space or on the view cube on the top there. If you press and drag with your finger, you will do the movement, and if you press and drag with your finger on the arrows on the circles, you will move and rotate and so on. And you can change color on the bottom there, and you can apply any color you want. Change also the material, roughness, metalness. You can paint everything like paint hole or force paint hole if it doesn't paint everywhere except the masked area. So you can change color many times. Once you change the color, you can either paint on everything, so fill the object, or you can use the paint brush. But right now you can see I filled everything up with that. Now on the right, then I have these different tools. I can also save tools, copy tools, and also you can scroll down that area. Now you can turn off and on the grid and all other settings on the bottom there. This one here is undo, so if you press there, you're gonna undo or redo many actions. So basically right now we only use one finger, and you press around here to set some tools or some brush. Up there you have some information about the memory you're using, the memory available, and the number of polygons, well, actually vertices. Right now we are at almost 100k, so 100,000 polygons, so everything works fine, and it's a really high detail resolution right here. Now if I use paint, you can see I'm painting now with the color that I have selected. So this is actually another operation. So you can either sculpt or paint, and then you can continue. And if you use the two fingers, if you move them and change the distance with your two fingers, it will change the zoom. If you click with one finger outside, it's gonna orbit, and if you use two fingers and move them vertically or horizontally, it's gonna do the pan. So everything happens essentially with your fingers in a smartphone, of course, and all the rest it's gonna be about how you set up your brushes. Now if you want finer details, you need to decrease the detail of your brush, of course. Now this will be all. It's just an introduction, and so check our other video courses and video guides about sculpting in the channel. If you want to join us, you can join us and stay updated, and also support us in the channel, or just subscribe. So thanks, and see you in the next video.